deleted.
Finish work by 10:30. That's too late for everybody. That's too late for fucking me alone, mate. Well, I'll speak tomorrow and I'll try and get a day off. Well, you can cut them hours off instead of start pushing them. Well, I've only got Keeney off our boat. Just now, once you go. I've never met him before, mate. I don't always give him the legs, I've just seen a kick off or nothing. But he's an ex-junkie, or an E-junkie, one of them. Oh, he picks on females. He doesn't like it, man. Sounds a bit of fucking Ricky, eh? Sounds like a wife of fucking Ricky. Doesn't like picking on men, picking women. Right. Well, I'll get back in contact with you soon and I'll let you know what's happening. But if it doesn't happen today, it'll happen definitely on fucking Sunday. On Sunday we got all day. That's fine. That's it, hope you shouldn't be any trouble anyway.
So what we're doing at Gayfield Police Station is asking Mr. Ewing asked whether or not there might be criminal potential wrongdoings that were covered up by the redaction of the Hamilton report. And what we're doing here is actually find out if there's been any complaints made, because like any general member of the public can make a complaint against the Hamilton, the redactions in the Hamilton report if it involved criminality, and also obviously the WhatsApp messages that were deleted, whether or not there's criminality involved in that, and also what was the third thing, the criminality and the Alex Salmond problem with the false allegations that were orchestrated against them. So we're going in here to find out if we can speak to somebody, with an officer, to find out whether or not we're able to actually speak to somebody regarding these allegations, and whether anybody else, any member of the public, can actually has actually made these any allegations to try and get these WhatsApp messages, or what the police stance is in getting these WhatsApp messages. So I don't like to, there's other people in here, so I'm not really want to know their business, so I'm going to stand out here as well from the spot. I'm here.
Aye, nice one, man. Tell Chris I appreciate it, like. Right, I'll let you go now anyway. Right then, man. Cheers, buddy. Will do. Steve, leave your car till about 10:30, mate, and I'll run you over to Harry. Alright, son. I'll run you to Harry and give you a lift back home. Right, no problem.
Oh.
Right.
Is there somebody here?
I'm sure there will.
About 10 times, and there's not, they're not.
He's away doing something.
Oh, I do? Right, thanks very much. So let me go outside and I'll just talk outside here until, because there's people in there and it's, I'm not really interested in their business or getting anything of their business on camera, so that's not the purpose of this at all. But Fergus Ewing is in the paper, a very excellent MP. Fergus Ewing is in the paper now saying that the redactions, I'm going to do a thing about the Hamilton report down at the Parliament, because it's a number of years on since I identified that there might be illegalities and that Nicola Sturgeon should have resigned 3 years ago. But the redactions that have been covered up, Mr. Ewing, who is a highly competent MSP, who was in Cabinet regarding the Hamilton report, which was the basis of Nicola Sturgeon saying that Hamilton saying that there was no problem with Nicola Sturgeon's tenure, which I'd already pointed out there was, and she broke the ministerial code, and now it looks like this could be a criminal matter, not just a break of the ministerial code, but now a criminal matter. This is what Mr. Ewing, MSP, said, and he's in the cabinet, so he will know whether or not this is an actual criminal rather than a civil matter. Not criminal, rather than even a breaking the ministerial code, which would have been a resignation matter. And I'm sure Hamza Yusuf has now broken the ministerial code, and this is the problem. This is a problem with our current system. The people who are being investigated are then setting up the investigators. Now, I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with Mr. Hamilton's judicial knowledge or in some way he'd been compromised. I've got absolutely zero evidence of that. But what was able to be done was the actual redactions in the actual judgment that the Judge Hamilton had actually put in place or commented on, was then able to be redacted by a potential criminal conspiracy, and was not given to the public, which might have changed both the public and the press's opinions. It may have led to a successful case for the breaking of the ministerial code. And because they would have broken the ministerial code, we're talking about Nicola Sturgeon here, and potentially others, that not only did they cover up this, which is now potentially a criminal matter, but they've also now covered up the breaking of the ministerial code, which I was right 3 years ago that she should have resigned. And when I stood outside the Scottish Parliament and got the highest number of views I've ever got, that I was correct again, and that she should have resigned 3 years ago, and we wouldn't have had 3 more years of her absolutely disastrous tenure as First Minister. So we're now past the stage where we're actually talking about criminal matters. Oh, there's somebody there. Criminal matters. Hi there, how are you doing? I'd like to speak to a senior officer, please. My name is David Ballantyne. I'm from a company called the Guerilla TV Limited, and I'd like to speak to a senior officer about some charges that are being levied just now. Thank you very much, thank you. I'll just stand outside because I don't want to disturb other people that are in here, okay? Thanks. So, I don't want to get other people that might have other complaints that are not relative to this on camera, or the police for that matter. So it's not really their business what they have to do, but this is the difficulty as well, because also the close relationship now with the police, with one senior officer being directly attributable to potentially a corrupt government, and that Nicola Sturgeon is also now in charge of the cowed judiciary, which I was at the Scottish Parliament. I was at the Scottish judicial part in, I think it was St Andrews Square, was it? Across from the High Court anyway, earlier on today. And I've asked to speak to judges. Apparently, you can't actually speak directly to judges, so I don't know how judges get held accountable. I think we have to look at the system for judges being held accountable, because if a corrupt organisation, such as the individuals, not all of the SNP, but certainly under Nicola Sturgeon's regime, and then maybe they've corrupted the voting process so that Hamza Yusuf has managed to become First Minister again, which didn't look very democratic within the SNP. These people have corrupted the judiciary, corrupted the legislator, corrupted the police. Not through the police are corrupt or the judiciary is corrupt, but the direct and lack of independence from the police or the judiciary means that corruption in the actual major offices of state can happen. Not having a second chamber, not having anybody apart from me to hold people to account, and obviously it's difficult because I'm obviously getting in the neck, as you've seen. So we're now going to try and find out if what's actually happening from the police's point of view, if anybody's made any complaints into this, because any member of the public can complain. Firstly, that there might be a criminal matter. This is what Mr. Ewing said. Mr. Ewing, MSP, said because it's a potential criminal matter, you could go probably to your local police station, make sure you document it, and say that there's potentially a criminal matter within the Hamilton report that was given about Alex Salmond, and that there a criminal report, and that this could actually lead to criminal charges for Nicola Sturgeon. The redactions could have covered up criminality, and that she probably did break the ministerial code when I told you she did. But Mr. Ewing definitely thinks there's criminal matters there within the redactions within the Hamilton report. And so you would have to, as an individual, go and speak to the police and actually file an actual complaint. Obviously, we are a media company and we won't be doing that. But as an individual, you certainly could do it. And then you've got, obviously, the WhatsApps that are involved, not only with the Hamilton report, but also with the COVID report. So these WhatsApps, are they going to go to Meta and get these WhatsApps from Meta that overlap in the Hamilton report, and also the Hamilton report, and also the WhatsApps for the COVID inquiry, because there's obviously the COVID inquiry has not been the WhatsApps have not from the COVID inquiry have not been produced. So that's another issue. And then you've got obviously the false allegations of potential collusion of false sexual and rape allegations against Alex Salmond have been proven not to be successful in a courtroom, and that's another potential set of criminal allegations that would be potentially found in the same WhatsApps and other material that would have to be seized within a criminal procedure. So we're going to find out about that as well. Is that you guys are waiting? Yeah. I'll just stay outside then. Thanks, boys. Thank you. So, again, I'm trying to be as careful as I can not to get anything on camera as well. So, there is probably at least three potential criminal aspects to this. There's the Hamilton report, potentially criminal, WhatsApps required. There's the COVID inquiry, potentially criminal, WhatsApps required. And then there's the Alex Salmond false sexual allegations that he's been proved not guilty of. WhatsApps required again. So really the key is the WhatsApps, and also the fact that the WhatsApps have disappeared, not been retained, which again is probably, Alex Salmond had said it's probably a destruction of evidence or something along those. I'm not a legal expert by any stretch of the imagination, but destruction of evidence or whatever the charge is that means that they haven't produced the evidence that they should have. And so there is a number of charges that they've actually potentially got coming. It's not just one thing. It's numerous things that are actually potentially going to send them to jail. And it won't be just Nicola Sturgeon. this is a potentially a criminal conspiracy, and this could involve the deaths of hundreds of people. Nicola Sturgeon has already admitted to locking people in the house when the evidence from the person who deals with transmittable diseases said that there was no validation of that policy actually working. So she's destroyed people's businesses while at the same time destroyed Scottish lives, while at the same time as having no legitimacy for actually doing that policy. She was also the one who let, I think it was a French fellow in, who had COVID, and he was the catalyst for the outbreak of COVID. I'm not sure if it was a rugby match or whatever it was. Then she got the Nike conference, which was another spreader, to go ahead, and she did that deliberately, and it then went, then it infected tons of people. Hold on. So it then infected tons of people, which I don't know how many deaths had led to that. But I don't know how many deaths that had led to. Man, take a telling. Hold on. Hello? Who's that? Oh, hey, I'm not interested. Please stop phoning me. I hung up on the meeting. So, the problem is that. Oh, sorry, I've totally lost track there, man. Honestly, trying to get phone calls at the same time. So the problem is, are the police, has MD made an allegation? Because if the police, nobody makes an allegation to the police are not going to investigate it. I think that's what Mr. Ewing was saying. So if you as an individual, obviously I can as a neutral media company, but you as an individual would be able to ask them to, if these are, but we're going to ask them if anything's been done from a journalistic point of view, if anything's been done, if any of these questions have been raised, and what the actual situation is there with actually raising these. See you later, guys. See you. Cheerio. So these are the questions that I think we have to get answered, and yeah, that's a major issue just now on what we're actually trying to do, is to find out what is going to happen. Is there any questions being raised or any information that the public have actually put forward? Or somebody cut my hair. So that's something we don't know. We don't have a clue if that's if there is these. We know that the allegations are there. We already know from the highest level, because Mr. Ewing was in cabinet at this point. So we already know that he knows. So it's like, I know, you know, but somebody has to then put forward the three separate things. What you want is the FOI has been reneged on. So the Freedom of Information request has already been reneged on by the government, even though the judiciary has said that you must supply this because of potential criminality. The second thing is the WhatsApp messages that have been taken out of the inquiry that Nicola Sturgeon's freely admitted to. Alex Salmond has then said, if these have done after the fact that she said she should have retained them, then she's destroying evidence in an inquiry which is akin to a criminal inquiry. And then obviously Alex Salmond situation where the potential orchestration of multiple false sexual allegations that were levied against them, which I'm not sure if it is a criminal. We're going to find out here. I obviously the SNP are not going to bring it forward, but the orchestration of false sexual allegations being brought forward should then result in the arrests of all these people, and also some sort of criminal conspiracy allegations then to be levied against all the perpetrators that might have been involved. Some of them weren't even sexual stuff. Some of the stuff was so vapid that I'm not surprised that the majority female jury found in favour of Alex Salmond. So making false sexual allegations to destroy or put a man in jail or destroy his reputation, his life, doesn't have to be a man. I gendered that there. It's anybody, and it doesn't have to be sexual allegations. It can be any allegations. That should be the sentence that was going to be given, and also an unlimited fine, because obviously you could lose your job, you could lose other things, even though the allegations have not been proven in the run-up to false allegations being made. So that's definitely needing a law change here. My God, what's happening here? Honestly, the things I do for my art. So the false allegations, people that make false allegations will go to jail for false allegations. That's what it's going to be called in the future, for the length of time that they were going to put the other person in jail, and also an unlimited fine, because you don't know how much that other person has lost for that happening. And we should bring up dead cases of people who have suffered this way. Also, like people have gone through the judicial system. I think, like in America, there was a guy that got convicted. I don't know what the charge was. It was something that involved a long sentence, and that poor guy, he was an African American fella, and that poor guy spent years in jail. I think he got £1 million, but I don't think a monetary response is going to repay the actual devastation in this fella's life. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. So, I don't know when I'm going to get seen here, but let's see what's happening in here. I think there's only one person ahead of us. Sorry, I was just tightening my bolts there. So, I think I remember doing this last time, a number of years ago, exactly the same place I was, and the police didn't, I don't think, did very much. And also, not only did the police not do very much, they just sort of ignored that, and then the crimes get worse and worse as it goes down the line. So not only do the police not act, then the crimes get worse, and then there's no responsibility held. So then the state can then get away with literally potentially murdering people, murdering thousands of people, and then we've got a police force that doesn't actually investigate at this level of impropriety. Nicola Sturgeon could be going to jail for the rest of her life if the police did their job. We're not even asking to do anything special, just get the actual job done. If evidence... See, what can happen just now is, say for instance I had a kebab shop, for example, and there was an assault inside, and the kebab shop owner does not have any requirement to hand over what was actually in the evidence, and the police don't have any powers to actually say, this is evidence, you need to hand it over. They can just say, oh well, we're not handing it over, and then whether the person was guilty or innocent, whoever, you could get false charges on it, the other person could have started it, but you're not going to get a true account of the evidence that was actually available, because the police are not required to get all the evidence. Police are required just to do a minimal job, and even if that job then starts with the persecution of somebody else, or the false prosecution of somebody else, then they won't investigate the fact that the false prosecution has been happened, and then they don't have to collect the evidence, which they've made the mistake of not getting all the evidence in the first place, or there'll be no legislative requirement to have all the legislation gathered. So they, sorry, not legislative requirement to have all the proof actually gathered. So they can actually leave out information to actually then not frame a guy, but would eventually, by not getting all the evidence, get false prosecutions, and that's what can happen. And I think that needs a change in the legislation. Have you guys been seen to? Have you been seen? No? Yeah? So hopefully I'm next. And then we can discuss about Nicola Sturgeon. Hold on, let me just do my tie here. Honestly, this obviously doesn't make great internet videos, the dead space here, but it has to be done. Anyway, we will get it sorted. And what did you do with your life? I hung about police stations for hours and hours. Honestly, there's either a massive deficit in the police force, or there's problems from actually trying to get a police officer. Again, the cuts. Again, the lack of growth by the Green Party. They don't want growth because they're communists, which then has a knock-on effect to the tax receipts. The raising of taxes to the highest levels, again, restricts growth and prevents it. And this is all what Baldy Dr. Evil and the Davos mob want. Living in a communist sort of society with restricted wages, and you're basically the guinea pigs. We've now seen the fact that we've now seen in the fact of foreign students. The foreign students' money is outstripping Scottish students. They're going to increase the number of foreign students through the embassies, or now the offices that are overseas. They're going to bring in more foreign students and not do free education. They're not even, Scottish students are not even getting free educated. They're getting replaced by the fake Scottish National Party, the wokey wefters, the fake nationalists, the progressives, the Marxists, the filthy Marxist scum. And that's why the Greens, I'll get into that a wee bit later, but that's why the Greens and like Humza Yousaf, if you can, those of a certain age who can remember, what do you call them? The young ones, which was a whole bunch of weird-looking students. Well, that's who's governors. All the weirdos are all the people that are governing us just now. All the so-called progressives. But what they actually mean, like Ruth Gilmore, she's a failure in office as well. But she's pushing a homosexual agenda. She's pushing the globalist agenda with the world student crap. And she's pushing the the anti-racist, which again is a Marxist agenda in the education, while our children fall down the international academic tables. So they're making us stupid with all the propaganda crap that's coming out of the fake nationalists, but actually what they are is the Wookie Wefter Commie Party that call themselves progressive, but they're actually just a bunch of commie retards. So that's what's actually happening. We got Santa here. There. Even when you press the bell, so even when you press the bell in here, the nobody comes. I mean, I don't know what the bell's for. Bell's obviously decoration. So, I mean, really, honestly. I'm going to go down to Parliament, and we're going to speak down at the Parliament as well with regards to what I said, what my largest viewed broadcast in regard to the Hamilton report, and specifically the Hamilton report. But I'm going to cover that as well down at the Parliament today, because enough's enough, and whether or not Humza Useless is going to resign and take Nippy with her. Come on. Is that what? Honestly, I think they're on strike. And this is the sort of delay. I think you get this delay on your day-to-day lives as well. If there's a serious incident, the length of time that the police takes, there's going to have to be some way of actually being able to, for self-defence and things like that, there's going to have to be changes in the law in self-defence, because there's no way that you can wait till the police suddenly turn up to get defended. There's going to have to be laws so that they're hard and fast on self-defence. Officer, is there anybody coming there?
Yeah, she's on the phone.
Is she?
Unfortunately.
Is there a senior officer here? Here, my name's David Ballantyne. I'm here from the Guerilla TV channel. I'm not waiting for just a general thing. I need some comment from a senior officer.
Yeah, well, there will be. You'll just, unfortunately, somebody will come
Okay, that's
and see
great.
you.
Thanks very much. Thanks, officer. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks. Edinburgh Freemasons. People will be going like that. Why is Dave just walking about and not saying anything? Honestly, these long pauses, I understand that this is not the best TV, but it's going to be highly significant. Just stay tuned. Hi there.
Right. Our officer, there's nobody here. I don't need to speak to you, but they told me to give you this number.
Give you the news desk.
Aye.
Right, that's fantastic. That's terrific. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Bye. So I'll do the news desk. So they've given me the news desk, Scotland Police UK. So they've given me a phone number as well. So I'll live stream the phone call, and I will have to do it that way. Bit of a waste of time, mind you, but one stage at a time. At least you know I'm doing it. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. And then I'll speak from the Parliament. Love you guys.